why 90% of UGC videos are useless and how you can get the remaining 10%. Good morning, Ben. UGC video today. How's it going?
Perfect topic. I think everyone plays around with AI, UGC, and obviously UGC was a big wave in B2C marketing for the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities at the moment.
And maybe let's start with a quick definition. What is UGC, user-generated content, and why do we even still call it user-generated content if it's fully briefed, orchestrated, paid?
Well, I think it comes from historically that UGC is covering all different angles of user-generated content, but so it can be that it's really just a user posting something, and let's say you have someone who really reviews stuff without getting paid for that. That's also UGC, but the term
like organic,
yeah,
just consumers posting about their new lipstick and
exactly
saying, "Oh, this is the best one ever."
Yeah. So when you think back, let's say 20 years, there were already YouTubers reviewing the new iPhone, and a lot of them haven't been paid in the early days. So that was also user-generated content. But the fact that it was so powerful kind of led to the next iteration of user-generated content. And when we look at advertising and user-generated content as creative strategy, obviously, yeah, a lot of the user-generated content is now just actually scripted ads, and still I wouldn't call them users. I would better call them creators. So it should be creator-generated content. That would fit better. But
yeah, true. And so, what do you think is more important? Creators with good camera skills, acting skills? Are we now hiring mini actors or?
Yeah, definitely. I think when you look at good UGC content, you still follow all the basics in a creative strategy. So you have to catch the attention. So you need a good hook. But obviously, if you have been a first mover as a company, let's say 10 years ago, 15 years ago, just the fact that it felt more authentic, that someone claimed to be a user, explained the product, that was already a win. But obviously, since pretty much everyone does that in B2C and more companies do it in B2B, we should speak about B2B specifically also. But it got obviously more tricky. Competition got harder in this specific way of advertising. So you need better hooks. You need better actors in that case, or we call them creators. I would say actors a little bit. They are mostly not actors, but yeah, and also things should resonate quite well with your buyer personas. Product should be explained in depth, but not in a flat. Let's say the creator shouldn't scratch the surface with this explanation.
Yeah.
It should be very good in building product and solution awareness. Yeah, but overall, I think it's still a big opportunity for a lot of brands.
And what kind of mistakes are brands making when creating UGC content? I guess it often becomes like a mini advert that just feels way too branded and not UGC anymore. Can you just explain that? Which areas do they have to be careful with?
Oh, I think there are a lot of things you can kind of miss. So let's just give some examples. You can forget a good hook. If you don't hook someone, you will not watch the video. You can have the kind of the wrong personality to match with your buyer personas. So that's actually quite often the case, because if you look at these platforms, you probably experienced that yourself. You will find a lot of young females offering to produce UGC content, but for a lot of products, you just don't need young females. It should resonate better with the buyer personas. If you sell something to real estate companies and maybe to private equity funds or whatever it is, then you should find someone who resonates better with the audience. I would say that's one thing. And obviously meshing too much advertisement with the content, that's probably the biggest mistake. So I see a lot of UGC content that is pretty blended with traditional creatives. So you place a big CTA somewhere, and then You still want to have the logo on the UGC, and the
really
reason,
advanced editing.
yeah. Yeah, and the reason why UGC works is because it feels authentic. So the moment you're blending it with your brand, CI, and whatever, it's not going to feel authentic. So you kind of miss the opportunity. Still, it can perform. I'm not saying it's not performing, but the reason why UGC is powerful is not because you get a crappy creator and blend it with your brand.
Yeah.
It's because you have a crappy creator who looks authentic.
Yeah. So for that to be authentic, should you make it the script even super flexible and human, and maybe leave some pronunciation mistakes or some little flaws in there, or should you still try to keep it polished and on brand?
On brand, I mean, when we speak about the tonality of the script, definitely. So I believe that still the messaging should be very good aligned with the messaging house. But no, it's not necessary that it should look polished. I think it's actually the other way around. So obviously, if you want to have if you want to build a good reputation, you shouldn't hire a creator who's in his dirty dorm room, and in the back it looks very messy, and then he's recording himself and saying stuff that no one actually believes is true. But I actually think that this happens quite often, that the wrong creator is kind of saying stuff that he doesn't understand himself. Maybe if the product is too complex, I see this in B2B, or if the script isn't that easy to understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how is it for B2B and kind of high ticket items? Is it realistic that there can be this creator holding his phone and talking about this big B2B purchase that he recommends?
100%. I think for B2B, UGC is, for a lot of industries, it's incredible. The opportunity is really, really, really big. Why? Well, in B2B, you very often have complex products that need to be explained. And there is no other format that has a better information depth than video content. And when we speak about video content, you have to catch the attention. And with a explainer video, so an explainer video is good for someone who is already in the lower funnel. But if you want to grab the attention, explain something in depth, UGC is just perfect. Because the reason why someone opens Instagram or LinkedIn is typically because they want to get entertained. They want to learn something. They want to hear something funny. They are not coming because they want to see a boring advertisement. So aligning to what is someone searching on a platform, it's a key driver to be successful in a promotion, which is also the reason why advertising in classic TV, for example, was typically, okay, we have to be funny, or we have to be impressive or inspiring, because otherwise people are just not interested in watching a commercial. So I believe that for B2B, it's a huge opportunity that will be tackled. It's also something that LinkedIn communicates quite clearly, that it's on their roadmap to boost more and more video content. I think they're struggling a little bit. So when it comes to stories and reels, I believe they rolled it out, then rolled back. There's kind of they try to find a solution to offer this. But obviously there are some limitations. So if the target audience is way too small, then targeting is difficult. So I would always only recommend that to companies where there's a decent audience size. Otherwise, they're just wasting their time.
And some people are saying that UGC is kind of almost dead anyways, with AI video becoming so strong in recent months. Do you still see it has a little runway to go until AI videos become so clearly undistinguishable from a human-made video?
I mean, in general, I think you can already replace a lot of UGC content with AI generated content. Is it 100% authentic? It depends, I would say. So if you only have a speaker speaking into the camera, you don't want to show a specific aspect of the product, yes, then it's definitely possible. It's kind of the easiest production in the world, so really just a speaker explaining something. If you want to show the product, it's getting a little bit more tricky. And here comes kind of the interesting observation from my side. It really depends on the advertising budget. So if you have a budget of 200K per month, then the question is it worth it to try around with AI prompt, not be 100% happy with the result in many cases, just to save 200 euros for one production with a UGC creator? I would say it depends on the creator. If you have a very good creator who's very fast and he can provide things very solid, you're probably going better with the creator, just because okay, he did this thousands of times, I'm going to script him, and but obviously when it comes to speed, I think that we are currently at a point where probably most creators are outperformed when it comes to the delivery of their content. I think that when you take the whole creator market, 99% of the creators are doing it as a side business. They are not professional actors. They are not professional cutters. They are not professional videographers, which is fine because it looks authentic. But it's also the reason why it's quite easy to outperform then. So, but in general, I think the result should always be a super authentic creative. So it doesn't matter if it's AI or if it's not AI. There are multiple ways, and we already saw some AI generated videos that are just mind-blowing good. So I couldn't distinguish them from classic commercial productions.
Interesting times ahead, definitely. But I also think it still has a little way to go, and in this selfie mode, I think you can kind of distinguish it, and it's just missing the point if it's an AI avatar, just way too pretty or polished.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think we've got it all for today.
UGC content for all B2B marketers. My recommendation is tackle it sooner than later. If it's possible for your industry, tackle it sooner or later.
Okay, nice. Thanks for that recommendation, and see you next week.